Hey, what's going on, everybody? You're kicking it with Junkyard Dog on junkyarddogs.com. So this week we're going to break down this 5.0 302 motor that we pulled from a 96 Ford Explorer on the previous episode. So yeah, man, we're going to get technical today, and I'm going to go through all the components and show you everything and how we're going to machine it. All right? Okay, like I said before, this is a 96 Ford Explorer block. This block is great because it comes with GT40 intake, EV6 injectors, 3-bar or sometimes 4-bar GT40 or GT40P heads, and it comes with an oil cooler, a built-in oil cooler. So this is the benefits of a 302 motor from an Explorer, that they're just a more stout built motor. So that's what I like about it. That's why we chose it for Project Mayhem, because we're going to be supercharging it. So the oil cooling is a really great additive, keep the overall engine temperature down. GT40 heads flow really well, and GT40 intake flows really well. We're going to end up changing these injectors though, because it's just not going to provide enough flow for the supercharger. So we're going to go ahead and look for some injectors in the yard from maybe a super coupe or a turbo coupe, 30-pound injectors. If you remove the engine with the fuel rail attached, take an 8mm socket and remove the 4 bolts that hold the fuel rail in place. Then carefully use a pry bar and loosen and remove the rail and injectors. I say be careful because the EV6 injectors are actually usable. We did a previous video on them and their benefits, so just look through our vids and check it out. Okay, next you want to remove the 12 intake bolts, which are here, here, here and here, 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 this one here, these two, that one there. There's this first bolt on top, this nut on top, and then there's a bolt underneath, and then this bolt. Okay, so after you remove those, you'll be able to get the intake loose. Now, this rail here is for the coolant, the heater core, so that's why this is attached by this nut right here. And also too, with these, a lot of times the bolts in the intake, they break. As you can see, this one got rusted out because of water jackets right here. So if it breaks off in the head, don't worry about it. A good machine shop will take care of it for you, okay? Alright, so this is the heater hose right here that comes from the water pump. Well, it's a water pump hose actually, and we're just going to remove this hose clamp right here just so we can get the intake loose. And this is the water neck that goes to the radiator. You can leave that, you don't need to take that loose. So after we remove all the bolts, we'll just go ahead and lift it on out. Alright, next thing you want to do is remove the cylinder heads. The cylinder heads would be this and this, okay? The cylinder heads is where the air and fuel mix together and enter the chamber and get ready for explosion, okay? And then on this side, the exhaust, this exhaust manifold, expels the you know, the used up gas and air mixture, and then puts it through your mufflers. Okay, so first we're going to remove the valve covers. These are valve covers, these black things you see on the top. These are 11 millimeter bolts, so we're going to use 11 millimeter to remove that, and then I'll show you underneath the 11/16 bolts used to hold the cylinder head down to the block. Okay, so now that we got the valve covers off, I'm just going to go ahead and explain the components of the valve train. So first we have the, you're going to see under here, these are the springs. These are valve springs. This is what retracts the spring back into the closed position. These are the rockers. Okay, this is what, they kind of go like this. It opens and closes the valve. Lets the air fuel mixture in through this port right here. Goes in, blows up, then turns to waste, and then this opens and expels, and then it comes out of this exhaust manifold here. These are the push rods. This is actually what carries the actual action of the lifter here to make it go up and down. And these are the lifters here at the base, and they roll off of the cam. You can kind of see a little bit of the cam under there, and the cam has these lobes on it that push them up and down. Okay, so that's the most basic explanation of the valve train I can give you. But the bolts that we're going to be removing is these 11/16 bolts here, 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 and here, and there's some more down here, here. There's another one in there. There it is. There's another one behind it. There and there. And the same thing on the other side. Once you remove those, the heads will be able to come loose. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this exhaust manifold, take those 11/16 bolts out, and then pull the heads off. All right, so we're going to use these heads on our build because they're GT40 heads, and this is the best flowing junkyard cylinder head we can get. Okay, so we're going to be real careful to remove these properly. So we're going to use this 11/16 socket, and we're going to use a breaker bar. When we're going to use a breaker bar, we're going to break the bolts loose first and then use a ratchet to remove them the rest of the way. All right, so to take out the heads, you just tilt them back a little bit and then yank them off. Now the push rods will fall out, but it doesn't matter. Usually we keep track of them, but we're not going to be using them in this build. So just go ahead and yank them out. All right, so now we're down to the nitty gritty. We're officially dealing with a short block at this point. Short block meaning no intake and no heads. So we're gonna remove these 13 millimeter bolts here and remove the water pump and the clutch fan from the block, and it'll expose the timing cover back here, and I'll show you exactly what that is in a minute. Fan set up. This is garbage. We won't be using that at all. Okay, next you're going to want to remove the harmonic balancer. You're going to use a 15/16 socket to remove this bolt here. And then what you do is you use a harmonic balancer puller and you install the 3 bolts into this hole here, that hole here, and there's another one up top, and you use it to pull the entire assembly apart. Now while you're doing this, the motor's going to want to rotate. So what you're going to do is you're going to go around the back here to the flex plate, and you're going to stick a rod in here, okay? And once the rod hits the block, it's going to stop it from rotating and allow you to break that bolt loose. Now those bolts are in there pretty tight, so you're going to have to fight it a little bit. Just be patient. and try your best to make sure that you have the right size socket, because if not and it strips, you're going to be in a whole lot of trouble. All right, so first thing we do is we're going to remove the bolt. All right, so we got it out. Here's the bolt, here's the washer. See it? Bam. See it? Okay. All right, so this is a Harmonic Balancer puller. Okay. I actually found this in the junkyard. You know, I'm always in the yard, so I actually found this in the yard. I didn't have the bolts, so I went ahead and got 3 of these bolts. These bolts actually come, they're hardened, and they come from the GT40 intakes, actually. They're studs, actually. They're not bolts, they're studs. Sorry about that. So yeah, these studs will go into the Harmonic Balancer, and then what you do is you put this on like that, screw them into the Harmonic Balancer, and then you screw this part in here, and it'll actually push and pull the, it'll push on the center of the crankshaft and pull the Harmonic Balancer off. All right, so we got the puller all set up. So what we're gonna do now is take this 5/8 socket and ratchet and go ahead and slowly turn it off. Now, if you feel it binding, I would just suggest you stop, okay? So, once you get that, here you have it. Here's your Harmonic Balancer. And your puller's still attached, you just gotta take it off the same way that you put it on, and you just stick this to the side. Okay. All right, so this is an automatic motor. So this round piece of steel you see here is a flex plate. Now the flex plate has 3 purposes. Now if this was a manual transmission, this would be called a flywheel. The first function of the flex plate is it calms vibrations on the back end of the motor, okay? And this is matched 50 ounce to the Harmonic Balancer. The second, as you can see these teeth here, these rings, this is for the starter, okay? So when the starter turns and comes out and turns, it hits this and rotates the motor so it can get ignition started. The third thing is that the torque converter attaches to the flex plate, and it actually works with the automatic transmission to tell your car when to shift. So there you have it. So what we're going to do, it's 3/4 inch bolts back there. There's 6 of them. So we're going to squeeze a wrench in there and take them loose and remove the flex plate. All right, so next we're going to remove the crankshaft sensor. On this particular motor, they have a crankshaft sensor, just to, you know, for the timing and whatnot. And up here we have a camshaft sensor, and we're going to remove that as well. You want to keep this little hole down here because we're going to use a distributor. All right, and then we're going to take the last of the 13mm bolts off here, and then there's 2 bolts under here from the oil pan that hold the timing cover off, and then we're going to remove the timing cover. Oil pan. So what we're going to do, we took out all the other bolts on the front. So what we're going to do actually is take out the drain plug just to make sure that there's absolutely no more oil in here. U-Pick Parts is really good about draining the oil out of the motors before they put them in the yard, but we're just going to do this just as a precaution because I don't want oil all over the ground. And then we're going to rotate the motor, take the pan off, and then we'll go ahead and have access to the timing cover.